Doctor Who, The Monster of Papillon, and this story, of course, is the second last story of the Third Doctor. Now, there's a couple issues I do have with this story. I mean, we have a human villain in this, who in the beginning of the story seems to be normal, seems like he's a regular Joe, he wants to help the Doctor, Sarah Jane. Well, in reality, he is like working with the main villains, which are the Ice Warriors. And his reasons of why he wants to, why he's betraying his own people is like so, like, what cliche sci-fi thing are we gonna pick today? Like, and it feels so out of character for the character, really. Like, he's all about technology, he's all about building stuff. Why can't his motivation be unlimited resources or unlimited cash so he can work on this technology that he worked on? Versus, I want to be the ruler of Earth. What that makes zero sense and felt so cheesy and corny, even for a show from the 70s, or at least an episode from the 70s. But it's just like such a like, okay, that's the reason now you're bad. Oh, alright. And then there's also a little bit of the Doctor dying twice, or at least Sarah Jane thinking the Doctor is dead. And I get it, it's meant to probably be false. It's meant to be like false deaths. It's meant to make the audience think maybe the Doctor's going to regenerate now. The Doctor regenerating halfway through a story and all that kind of stuff. I get you. But watching it as a whole, it just feels very redundant. Like watching the whole 6 episodes as a whole just felt so redundant. It just felt unneeded. Uh, I think if you ask, like, did this story need to be 6 episodes? Probably no, it could easily be 5 if they cut one element of the whole the Doctor's dead. Sarah Jane since the Doctor's dead twice in one story. Just felt so redundant, really. Um, but the main story, as it is a sequel to Galaxy 5, which is a story from the first Doctor's era that has a anime recreation because all those episodes are gone in the archives. I think it's like one of the episodes is still around, but anyway, you can watch the anime recreations, which after I finish the classic series, I will go and watch those and give my thoughts on those. But as a sequel to something from the 60s, they kind of do give you a neat job of just like you can easily pick up the pieces. The Doctor helped these people before. It was he looked different. The companion was different, and that was it. Yeah. Oh, he recognized the massive eyeball alien. He recognizes that, but that's it. The end. So they give you enough detail and also how the Doctor has become a legend because of it. Um, and how that kind of conflicts with the main story, with some characters of the story at the beginning, because it's all about a revolution. That there's this monster killing the workers, and because that the kingdom are basically saying, how dare you, you got to back to work, stop with that nonsense, you got to back to work. We have the workers getting tired of that to the point of them starting a revolution, which starts like which revolutions mostly equals basically a mini war basically happening. um so you have two fractions at the beginning of the story, two fractions happening until the middle of the story, until the Ice Warriors show up, where you know where you have wars and action and fights and disagreement and political intrigues and back and forth of how things are won, and it's just uh, and how there's also a doubt about the Doctor, how the Doctor has changed because you got like the advisor really having some doubts that the Doctor is as great as he says he is, or as great as the Doctor, the legends reveal, like, clearly this guy at the beginning of the story wants this war to happen, wants the rebellion to happen, and having these workers having their own way equals. I think it's the idea of weakness. Failure is a sign of weakness, and it's that whole old school feeling and saying and concepts and those type of things. But which equals to a really well paced. I mean, like, the first episode's clearly just setting out the groundwork, setting up why, what essentially where are we? Where's the TARDIS landed this time? And giving you enough background. But then episode two or part two happens, and it kind of goes in a really quick pace, a really forward pace. It doesn't feel like, even when, like, the doctor's captured in prison, he's trying to yank the keys or fighting the Peladon creature, which is clearly just a guy in a pig suit, pretty much, in a warhawk suit. He you have he has this kind of quicker pace to out through it. Even though I couldn't help but laugh at one of the fights, where it's like it's meant to be like this big, not big, but just like epic, like, kind of fight happening, and it's just like the doctor just moves to the side and that's it. Not one karate chop. Not one karate chop in that moment. And then there's also a moment that I said to myself that for all those people who keep saying Doctor Who isn't political or Doctor Who was never progressive, there's a scene where Sarah Jane says to the princess that essentially, fuck, even you're the damn queen, fuck what the men think. And I'm like, if that came out today, the internet would whip that scene, whip that scene in two. How it's telling old men is telling that old men are losers or something, or just like some weak bullshit like that, which I couldn't help but laugh. And it also kind of gives the princess a level of a confidence boost, because she's even though she does become the Digital Express at the end of the story, she kind of becomes like the shy, do everything, even though you are royalty and you do what people listen to what you say, you kind of are easily swayed by the men around. She's kind of around the men around her, and with 17's, talk, she kind of boosts her confidence pretty much. There's, but I would say the Ice Warriors, who are characters so far in the classic series that I haven't been much of a fan of. Anytime they kind of show up, it kind of slows things down. They become a bit boring for me. They kind of are a bit of a boring villain. And in this, maybe because you have a marshal, because now they're like these soldiers, these like galaxy soldiers that the kingdom, that the planet has called, then they realize that are not needed, and the Ice Warriors are like, no, you need us. You call us for a reason, and we'll do our way. I know you think everything is okay, but no, we'll handle it. We'll do it our way. And the court martial, I thought he was a good villain. I thought, for 1970s TV standards, he was like, okay, he's threatening and interesting, and it could be a sense of that he's that also kind of military general character who's very my way the highway and couldn't give a shit about status. So it's like when you have a character who doesn't care about status, it's like how far they're able to go. But yeah. But yeah, I thought, as I said, this could have easily be a 5-episode story. if you cut the oh my god, the Doctor's dead again, but he's not. Um, but anyway. we got one more story for the Third Doctor, Planet of the Spires. Comment below, let me know your thoughts of this story.